Scotty Hardwick, Bogan Plays Cards, and today we made a honeysuckle port. But what does that look like? Don't forget, if you like these videos, whack that subscribe button, smack that like.
That Bogan Plays Cards!
Alright, so, attempting a little bit of video magic here. Woohoo! The powers of editing. I figured you didn't want to see me spend another video just cutting all of these bits out and showing you what to do there. So we're going to just get straight into the making of a boat, which is very exciting. So like I mentioned before, this is a honeysuckle port. It's pretty much all boat. There's a little dock, there's a couple of other smaller dinghies and that kind of thing, all from the Elven Honeysuckle Kingdom thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a video over here, and that should explain what in the world I am talking about. There are still 3 other videos coming out in this sort of mini-series thing that I suppose we could call it. But this one was particularly fun to make. The really cool thing about this one is it really didn't take too long to finally start taking shape. There were a couple of interesting bits though, because as you can see I'm layering bits upon bits upon bits, and there are tiny little holes that you're expected to put other parts in so that it clips into place. So if you are making something similar to this, make sure that all the holes are aligning, because otherwise that's going to make it a little bit trickier for you in the long run. If you do what I did and sort of let it dry halfway through, sort of went and made myself a cup of tea, came back, and then realized that the holes didn't align properly when I moved on to the next part, it took a little bit of anguish and became quite problematic. But that's alright, you won't do that, you're smarter than me. Couple of things to note during this build. It does come with some thinner, more cardboard-like things that you have to pop out and use as sails. Now I actually found that one of the sails that I popped out didn't quite fit the way that I wanted it to, so instead I made my own sail out of thin leather, but you'll see what I mean when we get up to that. Of course, after making this I also painted it and everything like that as well. They really did think of everything in this model. It's really cool. Like, you've got the handrails, you've got the rudder, you've got the sails to a point. They even came with like the barrels and things like that that came in the Honeysuckle Kingdom box would be really good on the dock that ends up being created in this video. So I think that's probably where I will be using them. I know I said it at the beginning of the video, I will take this time though to please ask you to subscribe and hit that like button if you are liking these videos. It really goes a long way, it means a lot. It shows me that what I'm doing is exactly what you're looking for. If not, tell me what kind of video you want me to post in the comments. That also helps. Any suggestions in the comments or something else that you've got an idea. Maybe you've tried one of the things that I've done in one of my videos and it didn't quite work out the same way as it did for me, and I want to know all of that stuff. Maybe you've got something that you're doing in a campaign that you're currently running and you're not quite sure how to go about making a piece of tabletop terrain, and I would love to give it a go and maybe show you some other ideas that you might not have thought of. If you think that you've got better ideas than I have, absolutely let me know, because I'm still learning, everyone's still learning in this type of crafting hobby. I don't think that it's possible to really know everything about it, because most of it you sort of have to make up somewhat on the spot, and then you know that if it works, it works. Otherwise you have to do a few more experiments and see if that works. If it doesn't, you move on. It's yeah, so please utilize my my comment section and let me know how your crafting journeys have been going as well. And I'm always for a challenge, always looking for viewer requests. You might find one of the videos that I made somewhat recently, about 3 months ago I think now, was a viewer request based around creating some kind of model for Namek from the DBZ cartoon series, and that turned out really cool as well. I was really happy with how that turned out. But yeah, always looking for a challenge, so if you think that you've got a challenge for me, please let me know in the comments as well. So these boats were actually a little bit different, to be honest, because they came with the MDF style wood for the bow and the stern and the base, but then you use the thinner cardboard, as you can see that as I mentioned before, and as you can see on the sails in this part, to fit around. And because I was generally using PVA glue, it didn't quite hold fast enough, so I had to sort of hold it in place for longer than I would have liked. And to be honest, if I had actually stocked up on a little bit of super glue or something like that, just for that particular part, I probably would have opted for that instead. But there you go, like I said, so the bit of cardboard did not fit, so I grabbed a little bit of leather, cut it out so that it was a bit bigger, and then grabbed a needle and some thread, and tied it to the mast. However, I did tie it a little bit too hard, and I may have cracked the mast. But remember, I do these things so you don't have to do it. So just if you're going to do something like this, even if it's not specifically this model, but you're doing something that's a little bit more fiddly, on something a little bit more spindly as such, then just be a little bit careful. But that's alright, paint it up a little bit of a metal paint texture and it will look fine. It'll look like bracing for the mast, so that it won't break in the high winds. For the most part, it was actually quite an easy paint. I grabbed a mid-tone wash and used it as a stain for the majority of the build. I did, however, do a little bit of a dark greeny mix for the lamp posts, trying to simulate that tone that you almost see in the old 1950s London type movies and things like that. They came up pretty good. I also tried to do a little bit of a dry brush of a yellow to give a light effect, but that didn't quite turn out, so I ended up skipping that. What really impressed me is TTCombat, where this model did come from. They even thought about the oars for the small boats, so that was pretty cool. So I put the same wash on pretty much the entire boat, excluding the sails for this particular part, and the roof of the cabin, and of course the nets and things. I then, for the nets, grabbed a lighter brown to fill in all those bits so that it would stand out a little bit, and then I proceeded to give it the same wash. Needed something that was going to make the boat pop, because otherwise it was all going to blend in with itself, and it was just going to be the same boring browny colours. So what I decided to go for was a type of a nice darker green that was going to be what the roof was going to be painted, the railings, anything that had a little bit of texture on it as well, and also I was planning on painting the sails that colour until I thought that it probably wouldn't work very well on the leather sail, so instead I opted to paint the other sail the same colour as the leather sail. That being said, the amount of green that I added, I am pretty happy with how it ended up looking. It really started to pop. think the biggest thing that I could take away from this build is actually not necessarily the painting or the staining or even the building of these specific models, but it's how they built this ship. I learned so much about how you can layer different things so that you can actually create a different shape, and I really would like to try at some point in the near future to create my own boat as a scratch build. I really think that would be quite a fun experience. Nothing screams dirt than a little bit of Agrax Earth Shade, of course, the Citadel one. That just went right over everything else, just to make it look like there was a little bit of grime and dirt, like the boat itself had actually been used a little bit. It wasn't brand new off the lot kind of thing, and just to make all the little bits that have been painted, especially green, so that the make them all pop. So the shade would go into all the different grooves and the details that had been made, and you can sort of really see it sort of stand out. But there you have it. Looks really cool. Didn't have to do too much to it, so very much following the instructions, and then just went a little bit creative at the end with the painting and things like that. But it's going to make an absolute amazing addition to the table whenever the party goes on the ocean. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it. Sorry about the narration. I know I didn't really go into too much about how to do these things this time, but it really was quite a more of a straightforward video. But keep an eye out on the new videos. We still have a keep, a lookout, a bridge, and an observation platform to make, as well as the new off-camera crafts that I've been posting up. Also really interested to know what you think of those. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day.
That Bogan Plays Cards!